Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Arden, and today we're talking about the Immortal Hulk, The Threshing Place, number one. Although I believe this is just a standalone story, written by Jeff Lemire and with art by Mike Del Mundo. So a pretty cool team taking on the ideas and aesthetics of the Immortal Hulk and giving their own little spin and a little story about Bruce Banner kind of venturing to a small town in the middle of nowhere and finding horrors within. There's a great, I guess, a Bible quote saying, "The threshing places will be full of grain, the pits beside the presses will overflow with wine and olive oil. I will give you back what you lost in the years when the swarm of locusts ate your crops." That starts off this book, and from there we just get a wonderfully there's sort of soft artwork Del Mondo employs that at first kind of lulls you into a sleepy little town in like the middle of America before things, well, the Hulk comes out and what you might expect happens, and it becomes a very powerful story. What's cool about it is it really doesn't ask much of you. You really don't need to know much about anything other than the most basic information of who the Hulk is to enjoy this book. Jeff Lemire's a great writer and is on full display here. Mike Del Mundo is a great artist and on full display here. So that's really all I have to say as a little sort of preamble, spoiler-free review. But it's a solid book overall. So after the little Bible quote, we open on Bruce Banner traveling on a bus, just kind of appreciating the landscape around him, the wide open air, the sky going on forever. It's something I don't appreciate because I don't really live in that sort of area very much at all, nor have I ever. But it must be something to live on a flat landscape. I was reading a book recently where someone was describing that, and then how there's just the horizon and sky without any interruption, and you just see like the flat land go on. I think we'll be talking about that book pretty soon, actually, but it's a pretty interesting idea and really set me into the mood for Banner coming into this place called, I think it's Tarongo, which is just a little sleepy town. And Banner notices that there's a missing 9-year-old girl, and he starts to investigate it, and Banner can kind of like sense something's wrong here. It's pretty clear that there's gamma in the air. So of course he can, and I think that's kind of why he was like drawn here almost. And the girl's name is Rebecca Green, and he makes note of that almost. And the townspeople, in looking for the girl, found someone like torn up, and one guy apparently saw a monster walking away, like just coated in blood. The girl's father, like it happened on his land, kind of is dismissive and just says, "Oh, it must have been a bear," which is not good for Rebecca Green. But Banner comes across this little growth, and you actually see that page on here. And that kind of gets into where the artwork is just powerful in its design without doing a lot, just really in the coloring. Uh, Banner's surrounded by dead crops, right there. There it is, and he just notes that he can smell the gamma around him. So it's pretty clear something's wrong here, and he comes across this torn up gate and this something that says Toes County Experimental Farm, government property, no trespassing, which I like that. It's like, oh, okay, well that's not good. And pretty soon Rebecca's father approaches Banner and pulls a gun on him and says like he saw him creeping around the sheriff's station. He's not a reporter or anything like that. Like, how do you know me and all this stuff? Like, Banner's pretty suspicious in this moment, especially with the missing girl. And then the farmer sees that Banner's found like one of Rebecca's hair clips kind of in around this area, I guess. And the farmer does not react well and attacks with his gun. It's kind of interesting. Um, Carson says, well, hey, Carson, thanks for joining us. Will I review Spider-Man One More Day? I think that is on my to-do list somewhere. But so this farmer attacks Banner with the gun, like his gun, like physically, just like headbutts him and pulls it on him. It's an interesting moment because we know Banner is really just seconds away from flipping out and becoming the Hulk, but to the townspeople, he's just some random stranger they can kind of push around and horribly abuse. It's kind of interesting. I understand the farmer's actions, but then two cops show up and tell him to calm down. He's like, he had one of his hair clips, and he's like, all right, we'll handle this. They ask if Banner's a reporter or if he has a lawyer, and uh, he affirms neither is true. So they proceed to punch him in the gut and jaw, throw him into the police car, and he wakes up like with a black eye in a jail cell. Banner's like, listen, he's got a sense of what's going on here now, and he's got a like he demands to be let go. Meanwhile, sirens start appearing in the background, and the whole ground shakes in the cell. And one of the cops is like, doesn't understand what's going on. But Banner's like, you listen, you have to let me go. The monster those farmers saw is real, and it's like going to kill people. And Banner just finally shouts like, "Oh, you need to run!" And then the most gruesome page I've ever seen. It took me a while, but I'm pretty sure it's just Banner transforming into the Hulk, inside out. um, he emerges and is still casually holding his popcorn. Oh no, wait, no. He grabs the police officer with some popcorn and just sort of eviscerates him. Seizes the man and pops his head clean off. um, Mostly because, and it's a cool moment because the Hulk, in classic Immortal Hulk fashion, is like, Banner's asking the wrong questions. How come you and the sheriff just happened to be where that farm was? And he's like, I don't know anything. He's like, liar, and just destroys the police officer. He comes across the other cop who's got his chest torn open, and Banner is similarly unsympathetic to these police, and he's like, you guys knew what was going on here, you signed this little girl's death warrant, you should have warned him, and just crushes the dude's skull. It's a real moment. Like, these police were abusive to him, but there is something cathartic and awesome about the Hulk just unleashed and not giving a damn and killing, well, these cops. And my empathy for them is pretty minimal given, the fact that they were openly corrupt, and the Hulk's the Hulk. So the Hulk ventures out and finds the monster that the farmers did indeed see. It's also terrifying looking. And Banner is like, oh, you're the one I smelled gamma on. Well, not Banner, the Hulk. And pretty soon they get into a tussle. Banner starts, or no, sorry, again, I did it again. The Hulk starts screaming, I know what you are. And he senses the little girl within. And he's like, oh, okay, I can pull the gamma out of you. And he actually manages to do so and return the little girl back to normal form. I think that's like an interesting thing that, like, something uniquely the Immortal Hulk can do. And so the farmer comes across the Hulk cradling his daughter, which is, and in a nice little moment, he passes over to her and is like, get her away from here. Like I said, like, oh, he understood where the farmer was coming from, because the farmer had no idea what was going on. It was like the cops and stuff, and he's like, all right. The Hulk starts wandering off, and the farmer's like, where are you off to? He's like, oh, I got some stuff to smash. And he goes to the experimental farm where they've been using gamma to grow these giant crops. And it's awesome because we see these guys working, and just a fist smashes right through and crushes one of them. He's like, like, the Hulk figured out what they were doing, and he grabs one of the scientists, and he's like, oh, please, I have a family. The Hulk looks and sees and he sees what happened. So basically, Rebecca turned into a monster because she ate one of these crops or something like that. And he sees the cage where they were like feeding her, and her other hair clip was. And there's a little water bowl with her name on it, Rebecca Green. And he just squeezes the scientist dude who's in a hazmat suit, and it just fills with blood like a pillow. Or like, not a pillow, like a balloon or something, like a water balloon or something. That's the word I was looking for. Um, and then we get a quick little panel of the Hulk dismantling the lab and killing the rest of the scientists. And later, Banner enjoys some coffee with the farmer and explains they'll come for Rebecca. She essentially now has to lead the life that Banner has led for decades, or however long it's supposed to be in Marvel's sliding time scale. But he says, luckily for Rebecca, she'll never have to quite live like the Hulk because she won't have to go through this, at least at first, alone. She'll have her father. And he very much, like, the farmer's a cool character because he very clearly understands and agrees. And they go off, like, just on the road to live on the run like Banner does, which isn't great for them, but like Banner says, at least that farmer clearly cares about Rebecca. So it's a very simple kind of standalone story, but it's just a lovely little ending to a pretty fun, cathartic issue. I don't know what I'd call it. Like, it's a little bit of horror, a little bit of just a creepy sort of suspense story, I guess we'll say. It's kind of a family thing where Banner's helping out this father and daughter. But I really liked it and would definitely recommend it. It was a cool and different read. Top grade talent was making it. And on the whole, it's a cool little companion piece to Immortal Hulk. I like how these guys were clearly able to adapt some of the aesthetics and ideas from Immortal Hulk and tell their own little story. That was cool. Carson Logan says, in Thor, were everyone worthy of his hammer wrote Tony Stark phone number on his hammer. Could you try calling Tony Stark? Some people actually did it. That is gibberish. I don't understand what you're saying there. Like, sorry, but that does not grammatically make sense. Sorry, but you guys, sometimes I will translate people as we go along, but I got nothing there. Something about Iron Man and Tony Stark, Thor, I should say. But you do you, Karsten. And thanks for joining us in stream along with everyone else. But I think we'll leave it there because I do have a bunch of other stuff I want to stream, and that'll leave us some time to do so. So we'll stay tuned next for another fun standalone comic, but this time on the DC side of things. We'll see you guys next time here on Comic Island.